I went on an old man rant in Starbucks. Yeah, and there are lots of reasons to rant in Starbucks. Globalisation, corporate greed. Do you know why I don't like Starbucks? Because they make shit coffee. Yes, that always gets a cheer in Melbourne. People around the world don't realise how shit Starbucks coffee is. Seriously, going to Starbucks for coffee is like going to prison for sex. I mean, you'll get it, but it's going to be rough. But that's not what set me. Do you know what set me off about Starbucks? There are certain musical acts that release their albums only in Starbucks, and I just don't think that's appropriate. Do you know, Bob Dylan had an album only available in Starbucks. Bob Dylan, of all people. Alanis Morissette had an album only available in Starbucks. To be honest, couldn't give a shit. The one that set me off, though, The Doors. I was in a City Square Starbucks here in Melbourne. I saw a Doors album exclusive to Starbucks. Do you know who I'm referring to, my young friend, when I say The Doors? Jim Morrison, the Lizard King. The man that was arrested for indecent exposure on stage, who died choking on his own vomit, who was kicked off the Ed Sullivan Show for singing Girl We Couldn't Get Much Higher, and now he's only available in Starbucks! That's not right! If you're gonna do that, go all the way. Make a Morrison mochaccino where they sprinkle on acid and stir it with their cock. Do it properly! Hello, pleasure to be on the World Comedy Tour. Oh yeah. I was in France, I took the train from London. It was that one that goes under the Channel Tunnel and then arrives in France. And as we arrived in France, his mobile phone went off. And I just heard this woman answer and just go, "Hello? Yes, hello, Susan. Yes, we've just arrived in France. It was gorgeous, beautiful. Yes, if you could tell Nigel back at the office to send the pack through by 7, that'd be splendid. Okay, ciao." Oh. Actually, she probably didn't hang up. Ciao. Oh. Beep. Oh. It occurred to me that half the people on that train don't speak English as a first language. Half the people on that train were hearing a totally foreign language. For the first time in my life, I wondered what it must sound like to hear English spoken when you don't speak it. Because I can't speak French. If I was trying to speak French, I'd just make French noises. There'd be a French person talking on the train, I'd be looking and going, oh, the phone went off and this woman went, I don't know what that last bit was. I really hope French people do that. I'd love to think there are French people on that train who went home to their families and went, I was on the train today, this mobile phone went off. All I heard was this English woman saying, yeah. Actually, what I do is one step more ignorant than that. When I try and impersonate French, I make French noises and then drop in an occasional French word that has nothing to do with the conversation. Like if someone had approached me on the street today and asked me for directions in French, I had no idea what they were saying. But I'd be telling you, going, oh, this guy came up to me today and went, qu'est-ce que maman, croissant. Qu'est-ce que maman, je ne sais quoi, ménage-toi. François Mitterrand. Again, I really hope French people do that. I'd love to think there's a guy in Paris right now who was approached by an American on the street today. He's came up to me and said, excuse us, can you tell me how to get to Eiffel Tower? Because we don't know where we are. We're a little bit lost right now. We've been here for hours. And he's at home with his family. He's like, I was on the street today. This American man came up to me. He said, bound down, burger. Bound down, fries. Bound down, woo-hoo! And you know what? I've realised where I get this habit from, of making noises of a language and then dropping in an occasional word I understand. The Swedish chef from The Muppet Show. At which point I have to stop because most people turn to the person next to them and do their own Swedish chef impersonation, which only has in it the words hurdy-gurdy. Hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy. I thought that's how Swedish people spoke. I was shattered the first time I saw the Olympics when I learnt that the Swedish national anthem doesn't go Ye borsken den hörn mitt i, Ye borsken hörn binden hörn burk burk burk. It must have been the weirdest show to watch on television in Sweden, because they actually had the Muppet Show in Sweden, but in English with Swedish subtitles. And they speak English. They would have understood every word. As we're watching there as Kermit the Frog pops up, welcome to the Muppet Show, and now it's time for the Swedish Chef. And they would have been, oh, Hans, Lars, come quickly. The funny man will be speaking Swedish. What the hurdy-gurdy is he saying? I don't know what an Aussie chef would have sounded like on a European version of the Muppet Show. Just some guy going, I can sausages. You know, the irony is we were this close to speaking French in Australia. We were this close to being colonised by the French. Like, even to a matter of days, apparently. In fact, I think the French even arrived in Botany Bay before Captain Cook. Because they looked around and just went, I do not like this place, it is a bit shit. A bit shit. Whereas Captain Cook went, well, it is a bit shit, but I think if we go around the corner, it might be nice. Although I've recently found out Captain Cook actually came from Yorkshire, so he wouldn't have sounded like that at all. He would have been on deck going, this place is fucking shite. I'd love to think that nothing would have changed if we'd been colonised by the French. The only difference is we'd be butchering French the way we butcher English. We'd be speaking some weird French-Australian amalgam. Frozzy. We'd be speaking Frozzy. Imagine the last minutes of the Rugby World Cup. As Johnny Wilkinson potted that majestic field goal just to hear 40,000 Aussies in the stands in unison go, oh, c'est impossible! Hey, you've been absolutely brilliant to talk to. Enjoy the rest of the show. See you later.